This time on Obscure Old Games, a Die Hard sequel that's better than Die Hard 2. Hey folks, and happy holidays! I'm Roger the Retro Gaming Puppet, and this is the last episode of Obscure Old Games for 2016. You know, I figure since Joe just covered Die Hard Arcade over on Same Name Different Game, now would be the perfect time for me to take on Dynamite Cop for the Sega Dreamcast. Yeah, I realize this is only tangentially Christmas related, but come on. Christmas themed games that are worth talking about are pretty hard to come by. Now I'm going to have to apologize here because the footage in this episode is actually from an emulator, and while we always strive to use original hardware to get the game footage in all of our episodes, unfortunately we had some technical difficulties with our Dreamcast, and well, if we wanted this out before Christmas, it just wasn't going to happen any other way. Dynamite Cop was originally an arcade game running on Sega's Model 2 arcade system, which was the precursor to the Naomi arcade system that was developed alongside the Dreamcast. In Japan, it was known as Dynamite Deka 2, but in the US, well, either Fox didn't want to give up the Die Hard license or Sega didn't want to pay for it, but either way, it came stateside as Dynamite Cop, not Die Hard Arcade 2. In terms of differences, well, there's not a ton to say. The Dreamcast version is essentially arcade perfect, and it contains a set of 3 extra stages not seen in the arcade, so it's really the definitive package, and that's why we're talking about it here and not on Same Name Different Game. Story-wise, it's Die Hard on a boat. I mean, basically it's Under Siege. Wolf Hongo is back this time, and he's a pirate, for some reason. He's taken over a cruise ship, and the president's daughter is on board. This means it's up to you and a friend to board the ship and take out Wolf and his pirate pals. Dynamite Cop takes the Die Hard arcade formula and really just ups the ante in every way, adding a ton more content by having branching pathways. Yeah, so the original game was only about 20 minutes long. This one adds 3 different ways you can approach the ship, which adds a lot more content, although it's impossible to see it all in one playthrough. This time, Bruno Dellinger of the first game is joined by not just 1, but 2 more characters, Gene Ivey and Eddie Brown, and they all play differently. In fact, you can even play as Cindy, the Player 2 character from Die Hard Arcade, but she's just a palette swap at Gene. To do it, you have to have a save file from a magazine demo disc, or have downloaded her from the Dreamcast network. Yeah, this game is actually one of the first that I can think of to have DLC, and it was free. And it's not just the extra character. It's still available online, unofficially now of course, but I couldn't get it to work with the emulator. At any rate, it's very cool to have characters who aren't just a change of clothes this time around. In general, this is a deeper experience than Die Hard Arcade, not just because of the multiple paths and different characters, but the locations are more interesting. You can face more directions than just left or right. Yeah, Joe said that can make 3D beat-em-ups not work, but it also allows for more complex environments than Die Hard Arcade had, which works to this game's advantage, though it does make the combat a bit wonkier if we're being honest. Dynamite Cop also ups the wackiness factor considerably from its predecessor. And look, I'm a blue puppet on the internet with a thick Midwestern accent talking about video games. I know a thing or two about wackiness. It wasn't enough to have anti-tank guns. Now you can find a basket of grenades in a refrigerator, or, you know, blow your opponents up with mini nukes. Another aspect of this is the power meter. You can pick up these P icons, and once you get 5, your character gets powered up. In this state, your punches and kicks do more damage, you recover from knockdowns faster, and your throws, which are already a lot crazier than Die Hard Arcade, become even more bonkers. Just look at this suplex into German suplex into atomic drop into backbreaker combo. Truth be told, there isn't much to say about Dynamite Cop. No, that's not right. It's more like I just don't want to say much more about Dynamite Cop because a big part of it is the weirdness, and discovering it for yourself is what makes the game fun, or at least part of what makes the game fun. Is it as good as the classic brawlers of the late 80s into the mid 90s? Well, probably not. And in fact, when you're talking about Dynamite Deka games, I would actually say that the PS2 version of the first game is better, but it's still a lot of fun, especially if you're into brawlers or just generally quirky, weird Japanese games. Unfortunately, it has gone up in price a bit over the last few years, but if you can find it at a decent rate, I say pick it up. And that'll do it. I'm Marge the Retro Gaming Puppet. Thank you so much for joining me. Happy holidays, and I'll see ya in 2017.
食事は？
いいわ。
何これ？
身近な武器で勝負を決めろ。ダイナマイトデカ2絶賛発売中。